Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation. My name is Nguyễn Công Hoàng, I'm from Group 6. Here's talking about the genetic modified food. 10 members in my group will divide the topic evenly to help you breaking down this topic easily for you to understand. And to get in the detail, Minh Anh will lead you into the topic, and if you have any question, please feel free to ask us at the end of today's presentation. So now, let's get started.
Here, I am Trần Minh Anh, and I will lead you to the part 1. What is genetic modification? So, genetic modification is a technique transferring a piece of DNA to change the characteristic of a plant, animal, or a microorganism. It targeted the removal of desired genes from DNA of one organism and adding them to another organism. Genetic modification has practiced for centuries, from the dawn of scientific, the biomedical, and the technical developments too. Humans carry out the breeding of plants and animals by selecting dominant traits to improve quality for the next generation, which may lead to drastic changes for many species. Dogs is the first genetically modified for purposes. The white wolves have been tamed and bred to gradually become gentler and more docile. Over thousands of years, humans have bred dogs with different desirable personalities and physical traits, ultimately leading to the diversity of the breeds we see today. Wheat is the first genetically modified plant. So the ancient farmers have selectively bred wheat grasses to produce domesticated varieties with larger and stiffer seeds. With the continued selection of the varieties have resulted in thousands of wheat varieties being cultivated today. So, to lead you into the next content, here my friend Mikey will distribute the effects of GM foods and how it can be a potential food sources. Thank you.
Thank you, Minh. I will continue the effects that so far GM food is a great invention that people have developed for a better future. The artificial selection has been limited to naturally occurring variation. Characterization improvement can only be enriched to a limited extent. In recent decades, advances in the field of genetic engineering have allowed for precise control of genetic gene inflow into an organism. Through genetic engineering, it's possible to combine different genetic results from different species, risking optimization in the next generation. According to WHO, genetically modified foods are food derived from organisms whose genetic material has been altered by crossbreeding with other organisms. This technology is often referred to as modern biotechnology or genetic engineering, sometimes also recombinant DNA technology. Current GM foods are made mostly from plants, but in the near future, food derived from genetically modified microorganisms or animals will be a potential food source or may be introduced in a market. This is the end of part 1. Thank you for listening, and back to it coming right up.
Hello everyone, my name is Nga. Today I will continue to this presentation and explain genetically modified foods are produced in agriculture. Firstly, some advantage for the user and consumer for durability or nutritional value of foods. Secondly, improved crop protection through resistance against plant diseases caused by insects or viruses, or through increased tolerance to herbicides. Additionally, resistant against insect pathogen reduction would sell for human consumption and provide medical benefits. Likewise, virus resistance from certain viruses or higher of use. Furthermore, because of herbicide tolerance to reduce in the quality of herbicide uses. Lastly, GM foods improve with the nutritional value, composition, and food quality that tolerate moisture, drought, frost, blowing to rise under conditions they may not grow. For example, corn produced on insecticide, golden rice contain high amount of vitamin A.
Hello everyone, my name is Whitney. You have also heard about genetic modification in plants, and now I will help people understand more about genetic modification in animals. To answer this question, first we have to make one thing clear. Genetically modified foods and products
can really benefit the supply chain. Many research have shown that genetic animals have the ability to withstand harsh conditions if their genes are enhanced to be suitable for a certain environment. By genetically modifying certain genetic material, we can be able to breed animal brown blend that are demanded by the supply chain. There are some examples on how genetically modified can be effective and efficient in some cases. Papaya pig is the first breed of mammal that contains plant gene inside of them. That breed have a normal brown wing base similar to other pigs, but their meat contains protein that found in spinach. Third, vegetarians can use this type of food instead of a traditional diet. And another case of genetically modified benefit is camel that are capable of producing milk that cure disease. This transgenic type of camel are developed by researchers from Dubai, and they have the ability to produce milk that constant pharmaceutical protein. The reason is that camels are quite resilient to different conditions, diseases. According to researchers, they are the right candidate to carry medical factors that can really benefit how we cure certain diseases.
I will continue to talk about the issues that are concern for the environment. The first issue is increased pesticide use. Almost 100% of the genetically modified crops grown in Canada like corn, soy, canola, and sugar beet are engineered to be tolerant to a specific herbicide. Between 1994 and 2016, herbicide sales in Canada have increased by 199%, like you can see in this graph. GM increased resistant crops are engineered to produce a toxin that makes the entire plant toxic to some insects such as butterflies and beetles. In the US, this crop decreased the use of insecticide by 124 million pounds between 1996 and 2011. However, the toxin produced by the plant may also have adverse environmental impacts. So the next issue is herbicide-resistant wheat. One of the consequences of the increased use of specific herbicide with GM herbicide-tolerant crops has been emergency and spread of herbicide-resistant wheat or super wheat. There are currently 37 species of wheat that are tolerant to glyphosate around the world. 5 of these species are found in Canada. So this herbicide-resistant wheat also present economic costs for farmers. The spread of this wheat in turn drives up herbicide use, leading to a serious impact on the environmental and human health. The third issue we talk about is superbirds. In May 2019, it was reported that corn farmers in Canada are observing that the European corn borer and insect pests has developed resistance to the genetically engineered trait designed to kill it. It is also the first report in Canada of any insect species developing resistance to a genetically engineered trait. This one also released in June 2019.
Contamination from GM plants has serious ecological, economic, and social impacts. Gene flow from GM crops poses a threat to wild and healthy crop relatives, non-GM crops, and foods and organic farming. There have been escape events in Canada with GM canola, flax, wheat, and pigs. The use of some GM crops can have negative impacts on non-target organisms and on soil and water ecosystem. For example, the expansion of GM herbicide-tolerant corn and soy, which are treated with herbicides, has destroyed most of the habitat of the monarch butterfly in North America. Herbicide-tolerant crop systems have encouraged the use of herbicides that reduce overall plant diversity in agricultural systems and can limit habitat and food sources for other important organisms. Monarch butterfly population have declined by more than 19% in under 20 years.
2005, new genetically modified food can contribute to enhancing human health and development. The World Health Organization concluded in the new report on GM food issued today. The report also recommends that in the future, evaluation of GM foods should be weighted to include social, cultural, and ethical considerations to help ensure there is no genetic divide between groups of countries and which do and do not allow the raw cultivation and marketing of GM products. Currently, evaluation really focus on economic ramifications and unwatchable health effects. The GM food era reached in Southern Africa in 2002, where a number of countries did not permit GM food and area research of mostly social economic concerns, illustrate the need for broader evaluation. Each country has different prevailing social and economic conditions, and the people have different history and of what they eat and what food means in their society. All of their factors can affect how GM foods will be regarded, and taking proper account of their concerns will affect the long-term acceptance or rejection of GM food and their possible health benefit and potential risks.
There are now 15 international legally binding instruments and non-binding codes of practice which address some aspects of genetically modified organisms. While many developed countries have established specific pre-market regulatory systems requiring the rigorous case-by-case risk assessment of genetically modified foods prior to their release, many developing countries lack the capacity to implement a similar system. WHO is working with partners such as the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and the United Nations Environment Program to help countries examine the introduction of a given genetically modified food from all angles. First major of genetically modified food was introduced on the market in the mid-1990s. Since then, genetically modified strains of maize, soybeans, rapeseed, and cotton have been marketed and traded nationally and internationally in several areas. In addition, genetically modified varieties of papaya, potato, rice, squash, sugar beet, and tomatoes have been released in certain countries. The production of genetically modified crops has increased significantly over the last decade, and although most of this production is centered in relatively few countries, it is estimated that at the end of 2004, genetically modified crops cover almost 4% of the total global arable land.
Hello, I'm Woon Hoon, and before going to the end, I will summarize our presentation to help you review all the content of the topic, genetically modified foods. So in the first part, we have explained the definition of genetic modification and how genetically modified foods can be the potential food sources. And we also include some specific example about genetic modification for deeper understanding. And nextly, in the second part, we have provided the knowledge about why genetic modified foods are produced and how genetic modification is applied in raising plants and animals. And besides positive effects, there are also some negative effects of genetically modified foods. So this is the main content that you need to remember in part 3. And for the last part, you need to take note some solutions which are contributed to improve the evaluation of genetically modified foods. So you have heard the presentation of Group 6 about the interesting topic, genetically modified foods. So thank you for your listening.